So as of recently, Meg Heap and two phone companies have been subpoenaed in an ongoing civil lawsuit in a corruption of Savannah Chatham Metro Police Department under the lead of former Chief Willie Lovett. Now I'm going to get to that scumbag in a minute, but more so about this recent subpoena. There's been a lot of criminal wrongdoing in Savannah Chatham Metro Police Department and the Chatham County Police Department, especially with officers. I mean, there's been a long history with dirty officers. Don't believe me? Let's rewind back to my Troy Davis case. I posted that video way earlier when I first started my channel. Now, if you remember that video about Troy Davis, where 7 out of 9 witnesses have recanted their testimony due to police intimidation and intimidation from the killer, man, I mean, y'all may have to watch that video over again because there's a history with dirty police officers. But more about the civil suit that's happening pretty soon. The civil suit really goes back from the beginning of 2007 until now, and about that civil suit is included in that civil suit Chief Julie Tolbert and also Lovett, and also some other city managers in the Savannah and Chatham County government were part of a criminal enterprise that helped even profited from illegal narcotics being shipped from the streets of Savannah. So they were benefiting from street profit happening in Savannah, and I'm gonna get to more of that, trust me guys. But the subpoenas have been filed Wednesday earlier this week for phone calls for over a 10-year period from 2005 through 2015 from phone companies like Verizon and Sprint regarding numbers connected to Savannah Alderman Van Johnson and former city manager Rochelle Small Tony and many others. And you're probably thinking, oh man, police ain't that bad, they ain't that dirty. I mean, that's just 1 or 2 particular incidents. Well, let me tell you something else. Maybe you haven't seen the other video I've done about Rashad Spann. I titled it "Do It for Spann" in quotation marks. Now, in that video, I even talked about another dirty police officer by the name, and actually an investigator by the name of Kevin Grogan. He resigned from Savannah Chatham Metro Police Department in 2015. He was initially charged with making false statements to a department internal investigator on July the 22nd, 2014 about driving his personal car while he was drinking. The same indictment charges on DUI on July the 17th, 2014, and driving under the influence of alcohol with tampering evidence of the same date by altering or concealing physical evidence involving the case. So he was driving drunk in his car and he got caught and busted, and he was apparently sneaking into the evidence room and trying to get rid of some evidence. Now, even more about Kevin Grogan, he was also a witness for Roderick Jackson when he was on trial for armed robbery and shooting of an elderly woman in the back. The primary witness was him, Kevin Grogan, the former police detective, investigator. Even so, the DA, Meg Heap, even offered him witness immunity to testify. So basically when that happens, you can testify and none of that stuff will come back against you. But Grogan's lawyer turned it down, and that's another case of another dirty police officer. If he was a legit person or a legit police officer or a detective or investigator or whatever the hell he was supposed to be, he wouldn't be sneaking behind trying to clear up his own evidence. Now, you're probably thinking, oh man, those 2 or 3 incidents, man, not all police are bad. Well, let me get to this other case, Malik Police. Now, I talked about him in the second video I ever done on this YouTube channel. Was a video I've done about rapper Screw, that's part of Hella Flow. Now, Malik Police story is a little bit twisted because he was initially on trial for making false statements and violating his oath as a police officer in the wake of a 2010 investigation into police corruption. CNT agents suspected him of drug activity. Both Police and a former officer, Willie Williams, who is James Williams' brother, and James Williams is a coastal state prison guard. Now, Malik Police himself, if you've seen the video that I done about Screw, you will know that Malik Police was helping Screw out when actually, and Screw said it himself in this video. It was like Malik, he was giving me tips of when ATF was going to warn him about police warrants, and he basically just gave him the heads up. I mean, even so that Malik Police even stopped Screw with about, what was that, like $8,500 in cash and 5 pounds of weed. But he just let him go, you know. And more about Malik Police, he was charged with 9 felony offenses, but none of those were drug offenses. And also, those felony charges included false statements in writing, and also 2 accounts of violating oath of a police officer. His first trial in July ended in a mistrial after 3 pieces of evidence were suddenly appeared in court. Now, they actually did have evidence, but the evidence came too late, and that's why his trial was just a mistrial, and it was kind of trialed again, but that still ended up in a mistrial. He's later resigned. And more about Malik Police, how they initially thought that he was suspected of a type of conspiracy, I should say, was that they even had set him up while they were doing like CNT meetings, like how they would plan a CNT meeting. Like Malik Police would leave the meeting without being, I guess, like whenever you leave from the meeting, the CNT meeting, you got to be dismissed, and he would always leave without any authorization. So that was one thing that other CNT officers was noticing about his behavior, and it was just like they even set him up so much that he initially talked about a CNT, well, a drug bust that was going to happen, I think, against Screw. And so when Malik found out the information, of course, he told Screw, and Screw, he changed up his phone, he changed up everything. And CNT officers was noticing, like, well, how come we had some information about him, some leads on him, and there's nothing else anymore? And they figured that it was because of Malik Police. But again, Screw testified against him. I have to do a separate video about Screw again, because somebody asked me about how much time he got. I just got that information, but I'll make that video separate. But anyways, you're probably thinking, oh man, those situations, like, man, maybe you're right, Pac-Man, maybe there is some type of little bit of corruption in the Chatham County jail. Now let's get to the scumbag that I told you about earlier, Willie Lovett. Now, Willie Lovett, he's 65 years old. He was a Savannah Chatham police officer for 40 years and a chief from April 2010 until he abruptly resigned it back in September in 2013. Now, he was initially convicted back in November of, I believe, 2015 of charges of commercial gambling and conspiring with an admitted gambler and others to obstruct enforcement of criminal laws over a 13-year period. Also, he was convicted of 2 extortion charges and 2 charges of making false statements to FBI agents. He was sentenced to 7.5 years in federal prison and fined $50,000 back in November when he was convicted. Also, more about him, he has to serve 3 years of supervised release after he's released from custody. There is no parole on the federal sentence. Now, they're saying as Lovett was the leader of this of organized criminal conduct within the Savannah Chatham Police Department, and also about him, even though he was fined with $50,000, he will collect a pension nearly worth $130,000 a year while he served 7.5 years in federal prison. So he's going to collect that pension. I mean, a pension that's comes more than $970,000 before taxes. So when his pension is done, he will have not the whole $970,000, but he will have something close to that. You know, even when he gets out, he's still going to be paid. And you're probably wondering, well, why couldn't they take his pension away from him? Well, there's a state law that forces convicted public employees to surrender a chunk of their pensions, but that can't be applied to the ex-chief. And also $70,000 from operators of carnival trailers used as a front for illegal gambling in Savannah during holidays such as St. Patrick's Day and New Year's Day. That's how Willie Lovett, he collected his money. He collected his money off gambling. He collected his money off pretty much anything illegal, you know. And that's how actually Malik Police and that other officer, Willie Williams, got off, because he was under the police were under the rule of Willie Lovett, and Willie Lovett knew anything and everything that was going on. And if Willie Lovett could make $1 off of it, I mean, he was down for it. You know, you couldn't tell him no. I mean, and you probably saying, "Well, you right, Pac-Man. Police are dirty." Yeah, you're right. They are dirty. And I tell you a little side story. My mother used to work for the jailhouse back in the late '90s to the 8 ladies to 8 90s, and she quit. You know, she quit in the 90s. You know, and the reason why she quit, because she really didn't like it. She was not really getting sexually harassed, but they were just trying to make sexual advances towards her, and she wasn't going for it. So she quit. And I can go on and on about how most Savannah police are dirty. I mean, my brother has been involved with dirty police. I've been involved with some dirty and racist police personally, that I might open up about it maybe later on in the video. I don't know. But I can go on and on about it. So whenever I really see Savannah Chatham Police Department, you know, even though I have my personal problems with Savannah Police, you know, I respect them to a point, because I know they gotta, I guess, serve a purpose for the community. But I mean, none of these officers serve for their community. I mean, these officers were serving themselves and protecting their own. You know, protect your own and serve warrants. That's what I call them. You know, I mean, the police, man, like, I mean, I'm pretty sure there's some good police out there. I'm not going to dog all police, but the ones that I came across are dirty, and they don't have no problem letting you know that they're dirty. And I'm not even lying about that. So you can make your own judgment when this video is over about if police are bad. I'm not going to pass that off to you. You can make that own judgment on yourself. But I'm just here to throw it out here. But that's all for right now. It's Pac-Man Jones with Savannah Seaport News. Beware of the conspiracies.